you want to ask your question again, your specific question? You were talking about concerns of people in the community.
Yes. So in regards to this Laura's Law, it's been implemented in other counties. We just heard from our police chief that 71. I'm trying to remember what you said exactly. 71 individuals have been taken in for evaluation more than 10 times each, and that is exactly what Laura's Law is being used for in other counties, and I kind of wanted to find out, is it coming? Are we going to be discussing? Are the supervisors going to take it up, and if so, when?
That's a question for the supervisors. They have to make the decision on that. I'm the staff person in this. I would say that all of the programs that I'm describing to you are very similar to Laura's Law, and they are voluntary. And we're adding services in Santa Clara County that this county has not had ever, based on what the needs of the community are. So we are standing up an additional 900 slots for people that have really high needs who are currently not receiving the level of care that they require. And I'm very wedded to expanding what we're doing with crisis and expanding our service delivery so that we can get people involved in a variety of services so they're not on the street. But the decision making, anything on AOT, is really related to the Board of Supervisors, not to staff.
President Simitian or
I want to defer first to Supervisor Chavez, and then I'll follow up. I think it's probably fair to say that she and I have been more engaged in this conversation over the last couple of years.
So what we did do is we did bring actually a referral to the board to get staff to give us feedback about what the appropriate approach was. And really, my belief is that what the staff had asked us to do was give them a chance to stand up these other services, in part because the concern was that AOT was relatively labor intensive for a relatively small group of people. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, the other thing I would just acknowledge is the 71 people that we're seeing in and out of one single system are also people that we're trying to get into other programs that we already have for people who are high need. And my suspicion is that a significant number of those 71 are also homeless, which brings them both in intersectionality, both with what the work that Key's doing and the work that Tony's doing. The other thing I'll just add that has become clear to us is that we have another system in the county, and that is our public guardian system, that frankly we have not engaged at the level that we would like to. And that public guardian system actually already allows us to provide the kinds of support that that Tony outlined in AOT. And so one of the things that we're as a county, I think, trying to better understand is how strengthening that program and expanding its leadership and role in supporting people who are mentally ill is another way for us to come at this problem. And then one final point that I'll make, Johnny, and I don't know how much opportunity you've had to take a look at what is happening in other counties. What I have learned is that there are very few people that are actually committed under Laura's Law, and that what actually happens more is the intensive services around that person, the engagement of their family, the engagement of the courts, is usually leveraged to get the person to take the kind of services that they need. And I think the point that Tony raised that was really important is that committing someone under this does not force them to take medication. The strategy that they're trying to use in our partnership with both the courts and the nonprofits is to get someone to take their medication, because ultimately what we want them to get is enough treatment to be able to make the kinds of decisions for themselves, both along treatment and frankly to stay in treatment than they do now. So for me, I think, and I'm just speaking as one member of the board, what I wanted to do is see the work in all the different programs and teams that I just laid out, what that looks like, frankly, by about next fall. And if we're not seeing significant improvement, then take the step to pursue Laura's law with that specific framework. But my suspicion is that the work that's being done now is going to really meet the bulk of those needs, because what I really want to see is people taking the medication and getting the services they need, not just being committed.
Yeah, well,
And I don't know if I'm sorry, Johnny, Tony, did I say anything that was
No, you
inaccurate?
actually nailed it.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood all this. There's a lot of moving pieces. I think the point the chief raised earlier about this feeling like a watch is right on, so.
yeah, and I'm not talking about the fact that they are not taking their medication. This program actually, it's involuntary. They are committed, and so they're off our streets and not getting wrapped up in potential disputes with law enforcement, which sometimes end in a way that we don't want them to end. And I fear for them that they will tangle with police and they will do something, assault a police officer, and then it can go downhill from there. We've seen it before. And for these 71 people that we had just heard, an incarceration program is probably the better option for them, whether they take the medication or not. And so I appreciate the fact that you're looking at how other counties are doing it, but I'm also a little scared that some of these folks won't get the help as fast as they need, and sometimes that help has to be involuntary. That's all I'm trying to say with this, and it's been working. And in fact, the state, my staff has been analyzing many counties, including San Francisco. The state is actually strengthening the incarceration laws for mentally ill folks. In fact, something just recently passed last week. And so I'm hoping that you do consider it sooner than later, because we have to do something about those folks. The cost is also incurred, when we have to use our police officers to basically become psychologists in some of these situations, or if they're not trained well enough, things can go downhill from there. And that's what my most fear is, if those people become a harm to themselves or other citizens or police officers.